Shame is an intensely painful emotion that makes us feel flawed or unworthy of love and belonging. It drives a lot of our behavior. I can tell you that people used to tell me, hey, you don't like yourself very much and you've got a lot of shame. And I would think, what are you talking about? I seem successful. I feel like I look pretty good, so I feel okay about myself. And as far as the shame thing goes, I believe in Jesus Christ and I'm forgiven and I try to do better, so I'm not worried about being ashamed. They say, no, that's not what we're talking about. It's like someone will tell you something and you just believe it. That's carried shame. Oh, carried shame. Carried shame is when someone else tells you something and you believe their opinion, their insecurity, or some dysfunctional thought process they say about you, you take it and you make it your own and you make it your identity. Well, I can tell you, I have this backpack that I've carried around for 53 years, and there's all sorts of stuff in here. And it's, I am boring. It's, I am ugly. It's, I'm not enough. It's, I am bossy. Well, I carried that around for many years and allowed people to tell me who I was. And then I just continued to try to fix myself and change myself and be something different. It was very, very unhealthy. It's important that we sort of know some distinctions between shame, guilt, humiliation, and embarrassment. And I'm going to use an example to help you understand at least the difference between shame and guilt, because we get those confused. Shame is something that you make about you as a person, and guilt is something that you've actually done wrong, but it's not about you as a person. So my example is this. I'm playing basketball. Somebody throws me a pass and I miss it. Well, if I have shame, I say, I am clumsy. I make it about who I am as a person. With guilt, I say, I did something clumsy. And with guilt, you actually can fix that. You can say, I'm going to practice more so that I don't miss passes. And those are the differences that I think are important between making something who you are and making something about something you can change. Don't take on shame and make it about you. See it as guilt, and it's something you did wrong. It's not something that makes you wrong. Shame forms out of abuse and trauma. Abuse and trauma are actually the seeds that grow the root of the tree of shame. And then out of that forms the branches and the leaves. Those are things like mental illness, dysfunctional thought processes, bad behaviors, and addictions. For instance, with me, my dad yelling at me all the time created social anxiety for me. So the abuse was him yelling. I took that on and let that inhabit me and create a root of shame. And then out of that came, it was my responsibility to make sure everybody's okay and they don't yell at me. So I have social anxiety and I'm always watching the room to make sure nobody gets upset. That's a perfect example of how shame manifests. Shame shows up in our lives in many ways. I like using the graphic, the compass of shame, because we have avoidance, we have withdrawal, we have self-attacking, and we have attacking others. With avoidance, we do things like addictive behaviors to numb out certain things, or we rationalize certain behaviors. With withdrawal, we just are very insecure and we isolate ourselves. With attacking others, we're very defensive and we lash out. And with attacking ourselves, we do things like people please and we're very codependent. Another way that shame manifests is through criticism and shame projections. So I'm going to explain this a little bit. Let's say that my friend asked me to babysit for her on Friday night, and I have other plans, and I'd like to go see the movie. But my friend's like, I've got to go do this and that, and I really need help. And I still say, no, I already have plans. Then my friend says to me, well, you're selfish. Well, my friend is calling me selfish because she doesn't like the fact that I've set a boundary and I've said no. That is projecting shame because she doesn't like what I said and I'm not doing what she wants me to do, so she's going to try to shame me. We do this often ourselves to other people as well. It's easy to fall into that trap. So the way that we can stay out of that trap is to say, when you do this behavior, I feel this feeling. So that is a way to keep from shaming others whenever you're feeling bad about someone saying no to you or doing something you don't like. Let's talk about how to overcome shame. There is a great book out there by Dr. Bradshaw called Healing the Shame That Binds You. And he talks about a process that's a 3-stage process. There's a stage of recovery, which is becoming aware that you have shame and then actually seeking out help from others to get better from it. Then there's a stage called uncovering, and that is actually grieving what happened to you and actually processing it again. You may go through some of the emotions, and we're going to talk about the uncovering process in more detail in just a moment. And then there's discovery. This is where you're finally well. You've got peace, you've got self-esteem, and you're finally able to help others. Like right now, I'm in the discovery phase because I'm doing this to help other people, this workbook and this talk. How do we uncover shame? There's some exercises that I have that'll help us. One is reframing. So I'm going to give you an example. I went to a yoga class, and I'm standing there, and of course, I get in the corner where there's a mirror on the front of me and a mirror to the side of me. So like it's full frontal access of looking at me from every angle. And I'm standing there, I'm like, God, I look fat, and I've got all kinds of wrinkles. What in the world, And I'm just feeling bad about myself, and this ongoing tape's going on. And I finally tell myself, stop doing that. Stop it. You don't have to be a size 4. And you know what? Just don't wear such tight yoga outfits and you won't look so fat, Lori. And then don't worry about your wrinkles. You're 54 years old. Do you think you're not supposed to have a wrinkle? It would be weird if you didn't. Finally, I just said, you know what? You eat right, you do your best, and you're exercising. Just let go of the rest. And I reframed it, and then I let it all go. And I quit feeling that shame. Another exercise is keeping an overreaction diary. For example, if someone said to me, you're too loud and your personality is way too strong, and then I react and I lash out at them, that tells me that there's some shame around that. That tells me that maybe I'm a little insecure about that my personality is a little assertive or strong, and that I need to work on that and identify where that shame is coming from. So keeping those reactions that you have point to shame that you're feeling. Another exercise is people inventory. A good example is taking a People magazine and flipping through it. And you write the list down of who you like or people you don't like, and then you write down why. I noticed when I did this exercise, every petite blonde actress is who I didn't like. And I thought, wow, there's a pattern here. I don't like these people. Why don't I like them? And I realized that I had shame because I'm not petite. I'm 5'8", and my frame is not dainty. And I think I feel shame about that sometimes. And then the blonde thing, all guys like blondes. I think that has something to do with me wanting to make men like me. And so I think there were some things I identified that I felt shame about. So that also will help you if you can look at people you like and people you don't like. And the people you don't like are usually the people that show you the shame you have about yourself. Another exercise is refusing shame projections. Now, we talked a little bit about that earlier about how criticism manifests out in shame. So I'm going to give you an example. If my boyfriend tells me or he's something about my hair that I don't like, or he makes a joke that hurt my feelings, I can say, when you made that joke, that made me feel sad. It hurt my feelings. And if he comes back and says, well, you're just too emotional, then he's projecting his shame and guilt for saying something hurtful off onto me because he doesn't want to take responsibility. So what I would then say is, I have a right to feel my own feelings, and I have a right to ask for you not to talk to me in a certain manner. And I have a balanced mind. And then I decide, I'm not taking that shame. You can keep that. I am not emotional. I have a balanced mind. That's the example of how you stop it. Just because someone hands you something doesn't mean you have to take it. I'm going to unpack this backpack now, because this is what we do with shame. We don't need to carry it around. I am not boring. I am a very interesting person. I am not ugly. I am a beautiful person. I am worthy. It's not that I'm not good enough. I am worthy. I am not bossy. I'm just responsible. Now it's your turn. Unpack your backpack, and I bet you'll feel a lot lighter.